The Stingy Billionaire. How greediness led to his downfall. In the heart of West Africa, a tropical region renowned for its vibrant culture and rich traditions, there once lived a man named Ortuba. He was a billionaire, his wealth accumulated through shrewd business dealings and an unyielding ambition. Yet, despite his immense fortune, Ortuba was infamous not for his riches but for his unparalleled greed and stinginess and selfishness. His avarice was a blight upon his community, as he refused to share or invest in even the simplest communal necessities, preferring to hoard his wealth for himself. One particularly scorching summer, the village well, the sole source of water for miles, began to deteriorate. Cracks snaked their way through its ancient stones, and the water level dipped alarmingly. The villagers, desperate and thirsty, approached Ortuba with a humble request to finance the well's repair. But he dismissed them with a wave of his hand, his face twisted in disdain.
"Let the villagers manage with what they have,"
he scoffed.
"It is not my responsibility to fix their problems."
The oppressive heat persisted, and the well's condition worsened. One fateful day, as Ortuba strutted past the well, inspecting his domain and searching for his missing sheep and other domestic animals, he was unmindful of the crumbling structure. Suddenly, the ground beneath him shifted, and with a loud crash, Ortuba plummeted into the dark, cool depths of the well. Alone and trapped, he shouted for help, his cries echoing off the stone walls. His servants, loyal yet weary of his parsimony, rushed to the scene. Seeing their master in distress, they sprang into action, displaying a resourcefulness born from years of dealing with Ortuba tight-fisted ways. They quickly acquired a sturdy rope from the nearest shop, intending to pull him out. But when he noticed the robe was new and, for fear that his servants may have used his money to purchase it, he was upset and unwilling to get of the well with it.
"How did you get this new rope?" "We just bought it, sir." His eyes widened in horror. "How much did you say it cost?" he demanded, his voice sharp. "Just 3,000 naira, $3, master," the lead servant replied, holding the rope aloft. "A fair price for such a strong rope, an old stock sold to us by Adamu, our neighbor." "Return it at once." Ortuba barked. "There's a rope by my farm close to the pig cage, go quickly and get it. I will wait, this one is too cost. After now what will I do with the rope?" "Go to my farm, I have a rope there that is laying waste. Why do you like to waste money?" "The farm is not far, just some 8 hours trek from here to and fro. Fetch it, and I shall wait."
"But master, it's already nightfall, and the journey is treacherous," they pleaded, concern etched on their faces.
"I will be fine. Go," he insisted.
Reluctantly, the servants embarked on the arduous journey. They trudged through the night, their path illuminated only by the faint light of the moon. By the time they reached the farm, they were exhausted, only to find that the rope had been taken by a hunter to secure his antelope. Disheartened and empty-handed, they returned late at night, faced with no option but to awaken the shopkeeper. The man, irritated by the late disturbance, increased to 10,000 naira for the rope. Begrudgingly, the servants paid the exorbitant amount and finally rescued Ortuba from his perilous predicament. But Ortuba stubbornness knew no bounds. In another instance, Ortuba refused to pay his workers their fair wages, believing he could save money. This led to a strike, halting his businesses and causing significant financial losses far greater than what he would have paid in fair wages. On another occasion, Ortuba insisted on negotiating a lower price for medical treatment for a serious illness, opting for the cheapest option available. The inadequate care led to a prolonged recovery and additional costs, far surpassing the initial price he was trying to avoid. Even on his deathbed he refused to disclose to his wife and children the key to his safe, where his money was kept. Back at his opulent mansion, Ortuba's family watched the spectacle with a mixture of relief and disdain. His wife, Omalara, and their children had long suffered under his stinginess, forced to live frugally despite his vast wealth. They decided it was time to teach him a lesson he would not soon forget. They feared that one day their wealthy father might die, leaving them in instant poverty and lack. They concocted a plan involving a beautiful young woman named Amina, who lived in a nearby community. Amina and Omalara's daughter were best friends at school. Known for her intelligence, natural beauty, and charming voice, Amina often turned heads wherever she went. Initially unwilling to participate, Amina was moved by the plight of Omalara and her children and agreed to help without accepting any payment. Amina visited the Ortuba household under the guise of seeking employment. To avoid arousing suspicion, Ortuba's family pretended not to like Amina and told her to seek work elsewhere. However, her beauty and grace immediately caught the billionaire's eye. Enchanted by her presence, Ortuba fell deeply in love and soon promised to marry her. Playing her role perfectly, Amina maintained an air of innocence and insisted on preserving her virginity until after their marriage. Seizing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to benefit from the stingy billionaire, members of Amina's community arrived under the guise of distant relatives, claiming to offer their tacit approval for the marriage. The billionaire's joy knew no bounds. For the first time in his household, he declared a grand feast for all present, including his wife, children, and every servant. Even Adamu, the shop owner who sold articles and the rope used to rescue the billionaire from the well, closed his shop for days to join in the unprecedented eating and drinking, an event unseen for many years. The mansion was abuzz with activity as servants scurried about, preparing an elaborate spread. Tables groaned under the weight of rich dishes and exotic delicacies, while fountains flowed with fine wines and fresh juices. Music filled the air as musicians played lively tunes, and the guests marveled at the opulence on display. Ortuba, usually so miserly, seemed transformed. He laughed and chatted with the guests, his usual stern demeanor replaced with a rare smile. His wife, Omalara, and their children watched in disbelief, struggling to reconcile this generous host with the man they knew. Yet, they played along, welcoming the visitors and engaging in the festivities. Amina, the center of attention, carried herself with grace and poise. She charmed the guests with her wit and beauty, while subtly maintaining her role in the family's plan. Her interactions with Ortuba were flawless, her innocent demeanor never faltering as she skillfully deflected his advances, insisting on preserving her virtue until their marriage. The feast continued late into the night, with Ortuba ensuring that no one left empty-handed. He arranged for baskets of food and gifts to be distributed among the guests, a gesture that further astonished his family. The guests from Amina's community, equally surprised by the sudden generosity, played their parts perfectly, expressing gratitude and admiration for the billionaire's hospitality. As the night wore on, Ortuba felt a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. Surrounded by people who seemed to genuinely care for him and appreciate his wealth, he reveled in the newfound camaraderie. Little did he know, the very people he was entertaining were part of a carefully orchestrated plan to teach him a lesson. The following days saw Ortuba showering Amina with gifts and attention, further loosening the purse strings he had kept so tightly bound for years. He invested in improving the household, upgrading amenities, and even funding community projects in a bid to win her affection. His family, while benefiting from this sudden windfall, remained cautious, aware that their plan needed to be executed perfectly to achieve its ultimate goal. Amina, meanwhile, continued to play her role with finesse. She visited often, always under the guise of discussing wedding plans or helping Omalara with household tasks. Her presence brought a lightness to the mansion, and even the servants found themselves caught up in the cheerful atmosphere. As Ortuba's attachment to Amina grew, so did his willingness to part with his money. He began to make grand promises, talking of future plans that included lavish trips, luxurious homes, and a life of ease for his future bride. The family watched in awe as the man they had known as a penny pincher transformed into a spendthrift, all in the name of love. The stage was set for the final act of their plan. With Ortuba now deeply in love and more open-handed than ever, Amina's role would soon culminate in a revelation that would change everything. The family hoped that, through this elaborate scheme, Ortuba would finally understand the true value of generosity and the importance of caring for those closest to him. As the preparations for the wedding continued, Amina's family set the marriage date for 14 days away. The mansion was alive with excitement and anticipation. Ortuba spared no expense in ensuring the event would be the talk of the town for years to come. However, 3 days before the wedding, a sudden twist emerged. Days before their wedding, Amina feigned a severe illness, claiming she needed a substantial sum of money to seek treatment in the city. Ortuba, blinded by infatuation, handed over the money without hesitation. Unbeknownst to him, the money found its way into the hands of Omalara and their children, who stashed it away for their future. Amina continued the charade, explaining she needed to inform her family and arrange the marriage ceremony, which required even more money due to her status as a firstborn and a virgin. Ortuba complied eagerly, giving her a hefty sum, all of which she secretly passed to his family. Weeks turned into months, with Ortuba sending money periodically as reports of Amina's worsening condition reached him. Omalara and the children had by now amassed a fortune sufficient to secure their futures independently of Ortuba tight grip. Eventually, stern-looking men, pretending to be Amina's father and relatives, visited Ortuba to express their gratitude for his generosity. Ortuba lavished them with hospitality, gifting them additional money, farm produce, and livestock, much to the disbelief of his family. 6 months into this elaborate ruse, Amina's supposed relatives returned, delivering devastating news. Their village oracle had decreed that Amina, being the firstborn and a virgin, could not marry a previously married man. Desperate, Ortuba asked if there was any way to bypass this decree. They informed him that it would require costly rituals. Ortuba, driven by obsession, financed these rituals. His family, having siphoned off more than they ever hoped, finally revealed the charade. The relatives informed Ortuba that if he married Amina, she would die, and he would suffer great misfortune. Heartbroken and resigned, Ortuba let her go. Amina left, shedding crocodile tears, while Ortuba remained oblivious to the betrayal. Omalara and their children, now financially secure, marveled at how easily they had outwitted the man who had refused to see beyond his greed. The tale of Oba Ortuba became a legend, a stark reminder of how greed and stinginess can blind even the wealthiest to the value of community and generosity. As the years went by, Omalara, Ortuba wife, along with Amina's cooperation, found they had more than enough to meet all their needs, such as education, feeding, and healthcare. This was because Amina gave everything she received from Ortuba to Omalara and her family, except for clothes and other personal effects that the billionaire bought for her, which were not transferable. As time went on, Ortuba became less stingy and more generous. He grew friendlier and more caring toward his family, his community, and his workers, becoming a better person overall. Though to this day, he never realized it was all part of a well-planned setup. Here are 5 lessons everyone should learn from this story. 1. Greed can be self-destructive. Ortuba refusal to repair the well or spend money wisely led to his own downfall and exploitation. 2. Generosity builds stronger communities. Had Ortuba invested in his community, he would have fostered goodwill and avoided many of his troubles. 3. Value loved ones over wealth. Ortuba obsession with money blinded him to the needs and feelings of his family, leading to their betrayal. 4. Money can't buy loyalty or love. Ortuba attempts to buy Amina's affection only led to his being deceived, proving that genuine relationships cannot be purchased. 5. Short-term gains can lead to long-term losses. Ortuba stinginess provided immediate savings but ultimately cost him much more, both financially and emotionally.